Hello everybody, welcome to Voices of Friedreich Ataxia. Our goal is to raise awareness and funds to cure Friedreich Ataxia. Today we will talk Taking Another Friedreich's Ataxia Setback in Stride by Kendall Harvey. Despite using a walker 24/7, taking my clinical trial study treatment daily, getting ample rest, going to physical therapy weekly, working out daily, maintaining a balanced diet, and making safety modifications around my house, accidents happen. Especially with Friedreich's ataxia, FA. We had friends over for dinner on the Sunday evening before Labor Day. I was getting up from the dining room table to start serving dessert when I tripped and fell. I somehow banged my foot on our china cabinet. My husband, Kyle, quickly came over and helped me to my feet. I braced myself on my walker to test my foot. It was painful, but I thought it was okay. After about 3 steps, though, I could no longer endure the pain of walking safely. Kyle helped me into the recliner, and we propped my foot up and wrapped an ice pack around it. We continued the evening and enjoyed dessert and conversations for a couple hours. When our company left and our kids went to bed, Kyle carried me to bed. The next morning, I tried to put weight on my foot, but it was miserably painful. I just knew that I had damaged it. I made an appointment with an orthopedic doctor. After examining my X-rays, she said, "Well, do you want the good news or the bad news?" I kindly asked for both, and she said, "The good news is that your ankle hardware from your 2018 break did its job by protecting your ankle and preventing damage there. The bad news is that you do indeed have a Jones fracture on your 5th metatarsal. The treatment plan is to keep my foot in an aircast walking boot to protect it and keep it in a proper position, and to bear no weight on my fractured foot. Since I am not coordinated enough for crutches, this means time in a wheelchair for me. We are praying for a speedy recovery so that I can get back on my feet, but it all depends on how quickly I do, or don't, heal." Bone stimulation and surgery have not been taken off the table yet. We will adjust the treatment plan pending the follow-up X-rays. In the meantime, all I can do is follow doctor's orders while living my busy life as a wife, mom, writer, friend, pet owner, and homemaker. We bought our current house in 2019 with the intention of living here until our kids go to college, at least. This will be the house we will adapt come wheelchair time, because it has enough space to accommodate necessary changes. Yet, being in a wheelchair right now makes me realize just how much change will be necessary. It's overwhelming and daunting. Being in a wheelchair is so hard. Knowing that this is in my near future as a permanent reality, not a temporary measure while recovering from an injury, is crushing my spirit. Yet, just as I did when adapting to using a walker, I need to remind myself that mobility aids are just that, tools that aid my mobility. I will have freedom and be able to stay active when the time comes for me to consider my safety and transition from a walker to a wheelchair. While I look forward to recovering from this setback and getting back to my normal, I'm doing my best to use this time to gain perspective. I have the opportunity to experience this house as a wheelchair user so that we can proactively make changes ahead of time. I will continue my efforts to stay ambulatory with renewed passion. Most importantly, I will remind myself that being in a wheelchair isn't the end of the world. Yes, it's inconvenient. Yes, it's an adjustment. And yes, I wish it wasn't part of my story. But it will be just that, part of my story. Not the end. Kendall Harvey is also an FA patient and This information was taken from Team Kendall with their permission. The link is provided in description. Hello everybody, welcome to Voices of Friedreich Ataxia. Our goal is to raise awareness and funds to cure Friedreich Ataxia. Today we will talk. I overcame my hesitancy to use mobility aids, and you can, too. By Kendall Harvey. One of the most emotional and heartbreaking obstacles to overcome with a progressively degenerative disease like Friedreich's ataxia, FA, is the use of mobility aids. I know the struggles firsthand because I've been entirely dependent on a walker for nearly 3 years. I'm very open about my journey with FA, particularly about being a young mother who uses a walker. Lately, I've received a lot of messages about mobility aids. A friend or family member will reach out to say, my relative or friend, who also has FA, refuses to use a walker. How do I help them? While realizing that you need assistance and accepting that reality is a deeply personal decision, I'd like to address some of the main thoughts I had before accepting my disability, in the hopes that I can help others on their journey. Using a walker is equivalent to admitting defeat. That is a valid thought. However, it is not admitting defeat, but rather refusing to accept it. Your walker will empower you to continue living actively and independently. In reality, it's more like admitting that your life is still worth fighting for, and you will continue doing everything in your power to keep moving forward. My disability is so unfair, I don't want the constant reminder that my body is failing. Yes, life with a disability is unfair and inconvenient, no matter who you are. But let me ask you this. Are you able to ignore your disability when you are unable to walk from point A to point B without worrying about falling? Wouldn't it be nice to take some of the worry off your plate? Your disability will progress whether or not you accept help, so if you accept help now, you quite likely might prevent an injury from a preventable fall. I don't want to look disabled. Your disability will be more obvious with a walker. Yes. People will look at you with curiosity and sometimes pity. But they also will see strength, determination, and grit. They will admire your attitude. Also, it will allow you to spread awareness about your disability, which could lead to research funding, treatment funding, and one day, a cure. I don't want to become more disabled. My biggest worry about using a mobility aid was becoming more disabled because I would become dependent on constant assistance. I was worried that my body would completely forget how to function independently. Well, it was already doing that, with or without a walker. That was the nature of my progressive disease. Becoming dependent on a walker restored some of my independence because I was now able to walk without waiting for someone to help me. I don't see how this walker will fit into my life logistically. Making physical room for your walker is a task. You will have to find places to park it when you are on the couch or in bed. You will have to find ways to make it work well for you when you are busy in the kitchen or putting away laundry. You will have to figure out how to safely get it in and out of the car. You might have to ramp some thresholds or widen doorways, but all of that can be done. All of these efforts are worth it if it extends your independence safely. Once you find the right device for you, it does just work out. I refuse to be that disabled. I can get by without it. When I used this argument with my mom, she frequently rebutted it with the adage, just because you can, doesn't mean you should. I had a catastrophic fall that obliterated my ankle, requiring intensive reconstructive surgery. Ironically, I saw my walker, sitting in the corner collecting dust because I refused to use it, out of the corner of my eye as I was falling. If I had swallowed my pride sooner and started using the walker earlier, that fall could have been prevented. I've tried using one, and it doesn't seem helpful. It took a while for me to find the right device. Before that, it just felt like I was pushing a shopping cart around my house. Once I found the right device, it fit into my life. Also, you don't have to go from no assistance to 100% dependent on a walker overnight. Try using it around different areas of the house as you get used to it. Long story short, it is hard. It is emotional. It is not what you had planned at this stage of your life. But listen to your friends, family, and doctors. They likely have your best interest at heart and want you to be safe. And most importantly, listen to your body. You are a wonderfully complex person, and your body is trying so hard. Help it out. Kendall Harvey is also an FA patient and this information was taken from Team Kendall with their permission. The link is provided in description. Hello everybody, welcome to Voices of Friedreich Ataxia. Our goal is to raise awareness and funds to cure Friedreich Ataxia. Today we will talk Acknowledging the Anniversary of My Diagnosis by Kendall Harvey. Historically, August 19th is a hard day for me. That's the day in 2013 when I was blindsided by a Friedreich's ataxia, FA, diagnosis. My emotional journey of advocating for myself to find answers to seemingly random neurological symptoms had reached a difficult, unexpected, and dramatic turning point. I was a 25-year-old newlywed with a world of possibilities ahead of her, who had suddenly been handed a degenerative and terminal neurological diagnosis. Now what? Well, the answer depends on when you asked me that question. I spent my diagnosis day in agonizing tears, convinced my life was over. My husband, Kyle, and I were on the verge of starting a family. I spent the better part of a month convincing myself that having babies would be selfish because I'd be leaving Kyle a single father and widower by age 35. After an emotional search for information and a more accurate prognosis, we decided to keep living the life that we wanted, and for us, that meant having kids. We welcomed our son, Brooks, in 2014, and our daughter, Collins, in 2017. But every year, August 19th haunts my calendar. It reminds me that time relentlessly marches on, that my FA is relentlessly progressing, and that what happened to my body was completely beyond my control. Each year since diagnosis, I handled the anniversary differently. Some years, I celebrated all that I had accomplished despite my physical disabilities by spending the day with friends. Other years, I tried to ignore the day after doing my duty to raise awareness for FA by sharing a few words on social media. The last few years, I attempted to shut down my emotions and let the day pass with as little fanfare and acknowledgement as possible, because it was frankly too difficult to pull myself together and be the mom, wife, friend, and daughter I needed to be, starting on August 20th. This year, however, that wasn't an option. August 19th was a special day because my precious Brooks started first grade. I wanted to allow myself to feel all that comes along with my son's milestone, which left the door open for my feelings about FA as well. I kept thinking back to 2013, and how I spent that day convincing myself that my life was all but over. I was sure that having kids was an impossibility. I can't believe that in 8 years, I went from thinking my life was over to sending my miraculous and perfectly healthy firstborn to first grade. How did I do that? I did it imperfectly and ungracefully. Quite simply, I did it by never giving up. I fought to overcome obstacles to become a stay-at-home mom to 2 healthy, energetic, strong-willed, and funny kids that remind me daily that life is precious and not all about FA. I threw myself into loving my amazing, supportive, kind, hilarious, and generous husband to the best of my ability, and thank God daily for this partner in life. I do everything in my power to love my friends and family and treat them like the treasures they are. I learn to extend myself and others copious amounts of grace daily. I have to roll with the punches, adapt, 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 then adapt again. I humbly and constantly depend on assistance while graciously accepting support, pity, curiosity, help, encouragement, ignorance, and kindness. I regularly fail, fall, and break, just to get up and try again. And I desperately rely on peace and strength from God every minute of every day. In the last 8 years with FA, I have grown more than I ever thought possible. I regularly laugh harder, cry harder, love harder, and pray harder than I ever thought possible. In short, I have basically redefined my idea of possible. And if I can do it, then you certainly can, too. Kendall Harvey is also an FA patient and this information was taken from Team Kendall with their permission. The link is provided in description. Hello everybody, welcome to Voices of Friedreich Ataxia. Our goal is to raise awareness and funds to cure Friedreich Ataxia. Today we will talk Feeling Like a Burden on Vacation Because of My Disability by Kendall Harvey. Last week, my family and I went to the beach with our neighbors for a fun end-of-summer getaway. We stayed in a precious beachside rental that had a room full of bunk beds for the kids, plus everything else we could need. It was wonderful. The only problem was that it was a 2-story house. All of the living areas were downstairs, and the bedrooms were upstairs. For most people, that wouldn't be a problem. But for this walker-dependent Friedreich's ataxia, FA, patient, it quickly became incredibly frustrating. If I go slowly and hold on to secure handrails, I can go up and down stairs. However, I am unable to carry my walker up or down stairs, so I had to have one of the other 3 grown UPS in the house follow me with my walker so that I could safely walk once I reached the other floor. This may not sound like a big deal, but to me, it was just one more reminder of my disability. I wasn't capable of doing the things that healthy people are able to do while on vacation. I was already feeling pretty helpless, since I couldn't carry coolers, beach gear, or luggage, but now I couldn't even go upstairs to help my daughter put on her swimsuit or grab my phone charger by myself. I went back and forth between feeling like a burden and a leech the whole time. I wasn't able to contribute in the way I wanted or be productive. It put a dark cloud over our sunny beach experience. The truth is that I had the same abilities and disabilities on vacation as I do at home, but my home is more accommodating, so I am more independent here. I can safely get in and out of the shower by myself because I have handrails. I can safely get in and out of the house because we have flat thresholds with no stairs. I can reach everything I need in the kitchen because I intentionally set it up that way. Plus, I feel comfortable at home, where I trust my surroundings and my ability to navigate familiar spaces. When I was diagnosed with FA in 2013, my first fear was that my husband, Kyle, would grow to resent me as my symptoms progressed. I became increasingly disabled, and his role as caretaker expanded. That fear turned out to be moot, because Kyle is the most patient, caring, and encouraging spouse, and we have an open dialogue. I still do whatever I can to ease the burden on him by maintaining as much independence as I safely can. Our vacation made me think about my perspective on my reality. Neither Kyle nor our family friends ever complained about my requests for assistance. They readily offered help, whether I needed it or not. I deserved an enjoyable vacation as much as everyone else there, and the help requested and given was less of a burden than I felt it was. I simply need to take a moment to remember that assistance is usually given from a gracious place of love. I need to remind myself that I am wildly blessed to have people who do not view my disability as a reason for pity, but rather an opportunity to make my daily dark cloud a little lighter. Kendall Harvey is also an FA patient and this information was taken from Team Kendall with their permission. The link is provided in description. Hello everybody, welcome to Voices of Friedreich Ataxia. Our goal is to raise awareness and funds to cure Friedreich Ataxia. Today we will talk Advice After 8 Years with FA by Kendall Harvey. I was diagnosed with Friedreich's ataxia 8 years ago today. 8 years ago today, the random symptoms I was experiencing were validated by an official title. My journey of advocating for myself came to a dramatic turning point. So, what do I do now? I'm a 25-year-old newlywed who was handed a progressively degenerative, terminal, neurological disease diagnosis. Well, you keep living life the best way you know how. You become a stay-at-home mom to 2 healthy, energetic, strong-willed, funny babies that remind you daily that life is precious and so not all about you. You fiercely love your amazing, supportive, kind, hilarious, and generous husband to the best of your ability, and thank God daily for this partner in life. You love your friends and family and treat them like the treasures they are. You learn to extend yourself copious amounts of grace, daily. You roll with the punches, adapt, 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 then adapt again. You humbly and constantly depend on assistance. You graciously accept support, pity, curiosity, help, encouragement, ignorance, and kindness. You fail, fall, and break, then you get up and try again. You desperately rely on peace and strength from God every minute of every day. You grow more than you ever thought possible. You laugh harder, cry harder, love harder, and pray harder than you ever thought possible. In short, you basically redefine your idea of possible. Life is a crazy, beautiful ride. Even with FA. So, you just keep on going. Kendall Harvey is also an FA patient and this information was taken from Team Kendall with their permission. The link is provided in description. Hello everybody, welcome to Voices of Friedreich Ataxia. Our goal is to raise awareness and funds to cure Friedreich ataxia. Today we will talk. Slow and steady doesn't always win the race. By Kendall Harvey. One of the most frustrating effects of the progression of my Friedreich's ataxia, FA, symptoms is how slow I've become lately. Physically, I do everything more slowly. Not only am I slower than I used to be, but also I am slower than everyone in my life. I talk more slowly, I type more slowly, I cook more slowly, I get dressed more slowly, and most frustrating of all, I walk more slowly. To me, this stage of progression makes me look and feel more disabled than anything I have experienced thus far in my FA journey. It is equally heartbreaking and infuriating that I can't keep up with anyone, especially my 4-year-old daughter, Collins. She is used to having a disabled mom, and nothing about my reality seems to faze her because she doesn't know any differently. But even she has noticed my slowing speed. The other day, we were out running errands and a nice man held the door open for me. It took me a while to get to the door, and I jokingly apologized for my speed. He waved off my apology, saying, "Absolutely no problem. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm happy to help as long as it takes." That was such a caring response, and I appreciated the kindness and compassion he showed to a complete stranger. But the phrase "slow and steady wins the race" has been haunting me. Because while I am slow, I am not steady, and I don't feel like a winner. In my 8 years with progressing FA, I have often deliberately slowed down when my balance felt more affected, and that always seemed to do the trick. I would make a conscious effort to go slower, my mind would catch up to the new normal, and I would feel safe again. Now, I have slowed down so much that I don't see how another speed adjustment would allow me to productively function at all. Even then, going more slowly doesn't seem to be enough anymore. I'm still unsteady, and I still feel unsafe. I know my slow speed only seems like the most devastating symptom so far because it's the most recent one I am experiencing, but being this slow makes me feel more disabled than using a walker ever has. The walker seemed like a smart next step to take almost 3 years ago as my symptoms progressed. It is a smart precaution to prevent falls and keep me safe and independent. But I realize now that I have had unrealistic expectations that no walking aid can meet. I feel like the walker should negate my symptoms and that I should be able to function like anyone else while using one, or at the very least, it should pause my symptom progression and let me go about my business as usual. I realized I essentially expected my walker to empower me to function better since I agreed to use it. I thought it should do more than simply prevent falls, it should help me get better. But that is obviously not the case, and I know that's an unreasonable expectation. My walker is not a treatment for my disease, especially with several years of worsening symptoms to combat. Given the nature of a progressively degenerative disease like FA, the reality is that even with the walker, I am incredibly slow and increasingly unsteady. And to me, that is not a combination to win the race. As I was proudly watching phenomenal, hard-working athletes compete in track and field events in the Summer Olympics the other day, I had an epiphany. No, I will not win the race against healthy, non-FA patients. I can only focus on my own race. Yes, it will be slow. Yes, it will be unsteady. Yes, it will be hard. And no, I won't win any gold medals for my stellar physical achievements. But I can measure a win in other ways. I can win by continuing to try every day. I can win by choosing to focus on the things I can control rather than the symptom progression that I can't. And most importantly, I can win by vulnerably shining goodness, love, encouragement, hope, and kindness into the world. Kendall Harvey is also an FA patient and this information was taken from Team Kendall with their permission. The link is provided in description.